Hi everyone, welcome back to the Dorset coast. Today we're back on the Purbecks. We're ducking out of a very strong westerly wind that's made Chesil not unfishable but just very uncomfortable. And the fishing in any case along Chesil throughout May has been quite tough. So I thought I'd bring you somewhere new. It's a beautiful little beach, very scenic, shallow water, very little tide run, but it does offer us a little bit of shelter from this westerly wind. The water, once you get out past 20 yards or so, is pretty clear. So we could see a Plaice in daylight. We could also see some small turbot. And then hopefully as we get towards the evening light, we'll look at things like small-eyed and spotted rays, even the chance of an undulate here as well, and even some bass. So we're going to be fishing primarily worm and sand eel baits, a little bit of mackerel as well. I'll show you the rigs in a little while, and I'll bring you back, hopefully, with an early fish. Well, tackle choice, as you can see tonight, is an Any Fish Anywhere Mark II Match Pro, same as I would use on Chesil. And strapped to that, we've got one of the blue Daiwa 7HT mag reels. That's loaded up with the usual 0.30 12-pound Varavas Yellow Sport with a clear 80-pound leader. We are trying to get a bit of distance initially because we're fishing quite a shallow beach. Later on, as that tide floods in, we'll definitely be dropping some baits in short because some of the small-eyeds run around sort of 50 to 60 yards out here, as do a lot of the other fish. But at the moment, until we get a bit more depth, we're going to be concentrating on fishing a little bit further out. I've made a very silly schoolboy error in that I bought my Continental rod, but sadly no reel to put on it, which is still on the kitchen table at home. It's a beautiful beach for fishing a bit lighter, this, with a fixed spool and light line. You can have some really good fun. As I say, there's no great need to whack it to France, and you can get some really good sport off things like bass and flatfish and small rays quite close in. So I'm a little bit gutted that I've made that mistake. Rushing and tearing, as I'm sure we've all done, and yeah, just not brought it with me. But anyway, we will plough on with what we've got, and hopefully we'll get a few fish. Right, so a quick look at rigs for tonight. 2-hook loop rig, very similar to what I would use on Chesil when I'm trying to get a bit of distance. Later on, as I've said, we're expecting the fish to come in a little bit closer towards the top of the tide. Then I'll probably move on to maybe a 2-hook flapper, one above the lead, one below. But for now, this is what I'm going to be using. So if you can see, I've got a couple of ragworm on that top snood, aimed at really Plaice, maybe a bass. And then on the bottom snood, we've got a head and tailed section of sand eel, nice and compact. Heavier bait is always best to tuck in behind the lead, really. Just makes the whole thing a little bit more aerodynamic. And you don't tend to get that bait wobble as it travels through the air. Snood wise, we've got 2 foot below the lead, 2 foot above the lead as well. We've got, if you can see here, little tiny 50-pound Cedra snood swivel, half an SRT spring, keeping that all nice and tight. Top of the rig, we've got a 105-pound Cedra stainless steel swivel. And then down at the bottom, same arrangement, nice small little 2mm beads and a plain 150-gram impact lead. No need for wires here. I always like my baits to search a little bit of ground if possible. It's not swept by a hard tide, this beach, so let's see what this can find. First cast just coming in now. Thought I'd had a couple of little dropbacks, but I'm on plain leads, quite a vicious side wind. I think it was probably just that. No obvious bite. I thought I'd put the camera on just in case we had a first cast fish. But with this shallow water we're fishing today, I think more than likely the fish will come on in that last hour of daylight. High water's about 8:30, so it's all lined up to hopefully be quite decent, but we shall see. Baits are in good condition. It's always a worry here is this time of year the spider crabs can be absolutely rampant. It's one of the worst beaches in the area for them, so nice to see we have some bait after a 30-minute soak. Now my first cast I was able to leave about 30 minutes. The baits came back in untouched. Second cast, I've got a bit of sand eel left on the bottom snood, if you can see that. And it had a reasonable soak. Unfortunately, the top snood, we have fallen victim to one of the little orange terrors. I've got my stop knot, but my hook and my sequin are gone. So we might need to just shorten down the timings of my casts a little bit, because there's no point fishing out there with no hook and no bait. First fish of the night, as usual, is a dogfish. The joys of taking videos, isn't it? I was rambling away to myself, filming clips, and didn't notice that my line had gone slack. So I picked up a hefty amount of weed. Thankfully we managed to get the line out of it, but this was the culprit. So we'll get some fresh baits out. Hopefully we're not going to be plagued with these tonight. It's not a beach that produces masses of them. It's just a little bit alarming to get one so early in the evening while it's still light. But it's a bite, it's a fish, so we'll see what comes from here. Well, I'm trying to eke my sand eels out a little bit. I may not have bought enough tonight. I didn't think these dogfish would be here until it got to dark. So what I've actually done this time is equally good ray and small turbot bait on this beach is a little fillet of mackerel. That's still a size 2 Varavas Aberdeen. You can see I've just taken some of the flesh off the mackerel so that it fits nicely and there's plenty of point showing, and I put that on in the same way as I put sand eel on. If you look back to the video I did on the Purbecks in January, you'll see how I do that. And what I tend to do is expose the eye of the hook and then use the elastic to lock that eye in place so the mackerel can't slip down and mask the point. And it's a great little all-round bait that. It'll pick up big fish, small fish, anything that swims past. Still got the ragworm on the top hook, just in case there's a flatty there. Unfortunately at the moment the ragworm seems to be attracting a lot of attention from spider crabs, but we'll persevere and see how we get on. So 20 past 8 now. It's dark usually about 9:45 at the moment, so we've got probably about an hour and a half of daylight left. And all you regular anglers will know that during the summer months, first and last light seems to rule for fishing. Through that middle part of the day when it's hot and bright, especially on these shallower beaches, can be a bit of a struggle. So we're keeping persevering with sand eel on one hook, ragworm on the other. Still a chance of a Plaice out there now, but as the time ticks on towards dusk, the chance of a ray increases all the time. So I'm watching my rod tips diligently, and I'm hoping and praying that in a minute I'll look up and it's bending round to the tune of a decent fish. But I'll keep you posted, and if anything decent turns up, I will come back to you and give you a look. Right, so while I'm in front of the camera, I also wanted to mention an opportunity for some junior anglers. on August the 16th and 17th this year, down at Lymington. If you're under the age of 16, you can go along. It's a 2-day match, which is completely free to enter, with the added bonus that on hand will be some of the country's very top match anglers to give lots of advice and tips on how to improve your fishing. In addition to that, they're also going to be looking for super talented young lads and ladies that can develop into full England junior internationals and potentially go and represent their country. So if that's of interest to you, if you think you've got what it takes, or you'd like to learn a little bit more about match angling, get onto the Angling Trust website and look under Junior Talent Pathway and get yourselves registered and booked in. I guarantee it'll be a fun day and you'll learn loads. So any anglers with Facebook will probably be aware over the last couple of weeks that I've actually started to offer coaching and guiding sessions on Chesil Beach. I've teamed up with my good friend Jansen, who many of you know not only works in Veals, but he also runs the very popular Gambling Angler guiding service, where he'll take out clients along the shores of the Bristol Channel and help them get to grips with the fishing there. Now, I plan to do a very similar thing with Chesil. We all know she can be a very cruel mistress at times, so I plan to cover every aspect of fishing, from rigs and baits through to tides and watercraft, everything you need to know to help you go out and have some successful sessions on the beach. If you head over to the website, The Gambling Angler, I'm sure Jansen will put the link in this video. There's some sessions available on there targeting anything from plaice and soles through to the general summer species like hounds and gurnards. And I'll equip you with all the skills and all the information that you need to then go out on your own and perhaps have a little bit more success with Chesil. So if that's of interest, pop along, have a look, and I hope to see some of you on the beach soon. Well, I just had a big slack line bite. I thought I might have a little ray, but unfortunately this looks like another dogfish and a nice bit of weed. Yep, first one picked up worm, this one looks like it's picked up sand eel. We're still about an hour and a half out from darkness, so I'm really crossing my fingers that they don't become too problematic. Admittedly, that was out there for about 15-20 minutes, so there's plenty of time for it to find something other than a dogfish, so I'm not panicking too much just yet. But we'll have another cast, see if we can get something a bit different. So I've had a few drop back bites on this cast. Pretty certain by the amount of weight that's on there that it's another dogfish. There's always a chance that there might be something on that second hook. This is the reason I like multi-hook rigs when I'm fishing for rays, if possible, because you basically get two chances if there's a lot of dogfish around or a lot of pout around. It's coming into the surf, it's on the surface, it's another dogfish. It's going to be a case of just wading through these, unfortunately, until we drop our bait in front of something better. Weirdly, that's actually on the worm bait again. So maybe I should be putting 2 bits of fish out there. Right, let's get him unhooked and slip back. Well, it's 9:45 now, and as you can see, it's pretty much dark. Just got the last scraps of daylight in the sky. I've moved on to a single hook rig now, a pulley rig with a 2.0 Camazan short shank, and I'm fishing a medium sand eel head and tailed with a strip of mackerel whipped down the side. So a slightly larger bait. This is really now ray time, so that's what I'm targeting. I was actually getting more dogs on the ragworm than I was on the fish bait. So since I've moved on to that larger bait, this cast has been out there about 15 minutes. And so far, fingers crossed, I've not seen a dogfish bite. So we've got a little bit of a swell built up, pretty flat at the moment, but we're getting a few sets coming in. That's disturbed a little bit of weed in the edge, so I'm having to keep quite a careful eye on my rod while I speak to you, because as soon as I get a drop back bite from a dogfish, you're in quite a lot of thick weed. So but we'll persevere. Going to certainly give it an hour or an hour and a half into darkness, and fingers crossed we'll see a nice small-eyed, spotted or undulate ray. One word, guys, relentless. Dogfish, strap congers, pout. It's full of fish, but none of them are really what I came here to catch. So I can't grumble, getting plenty of bites, but it would be lovely if one of them was a nice ray or something just a bit different from the three normal suspects. But that is how the Dorset coast has been fishing of late. It's been very, very difficult in May. So I'm going to have a couple more casts, just waiting for that water to drop away. So at the moment, the bit of beach I'm on, I'm actually cut off. So as soon as that drops back, I will be on my way. But if anything interrupts me that's of interest, I'll come back and show you. Right guys, well that's the end of my session almost. The last baits are out there swimming. It's been very, very busy tonight. Loads of dogfish, a few pout, a few straps, but the dogs in particular have been absolutely ravenous. And it's always very, very difficult to get through to anything better when they're in that mood. The fishing along the Dorset coast has been really poor during May. The first few months of the year were very good, but unfortunately the last 4 or 5 weeks the fishing seems to have really fallen off a cliff for some reason. I know in other areas of the country it's been very good, but Dorset is really in the doldrums at the moment. Loads of mackerel, but the general bottom fishing has been quite poor. So I can't grumble tonight though, plenty of fish, plenty of bites, not particularly what I wanted to be catching, but sometimes it's just nice to get out. I wouldn't have been able to fish Chesil very well tonight with the wind that was forecast, so it's just nice to come here, tuck out of it in relative comfort, and hopefully next month we can bring you something a bit more exciting and see something other than dogfish and pouting and straps. Tight lines for now. I hope you do better than me this weekend, and I look forward to speaking to you all next month. Take care.